Greetings, Mindcrafters, and welcome to our discussion today. I am Dr. Kimberly Quinn, and today we're going to talk about spending your life minutes as if they were cash. And I often, have this discussion with my Minecraft students, and I just say cash because there isn't a way to place value on our most precious life minutes, right? But however, we can get a visual this way. And I'll say to them, if you had a Ben Franklin, right, $100 bill, would you just light a match to it? And the answer is, of course not. Most people wouldn't. And think about that. So as far as spending our life minutes, we need to be really careful because there are only so many. And when you get to be the fabulous 56, you kind of are very cognizant of you've got fewer life minutes in front of you than behind you. Although when I'm 100, I will hopefully be skydiving because that is my plan. So spend our life minutes as if they were cash. This means to live deliberately. And I think people often walk around, most of us walk around unaware and not present most of our days when, we're walking around making active and passive decisions. And when we make active decisions, that means, hey Giovanni, that means we have, intention. There's intention involved. Even with the smallest of decisions, it's good to have these be conscious and full of intention. Versus passive decisions, that's when we kind of throw caution to the wind, as they say. We're often on autopilot when we do this, and we can passively spend money. We can passively spend our life minutes, staying in a horribly boring conversation or being a part of a club or something that we really don't want to be in, but we stay in it for approval or because we're comfortable and don't know how to get out of it or whatever. Meanwhile, if we had a calculator on those life minutes, they are slipping right out of our fingertips. So it certainly doesn't mean that, we don't do things we don't want to do, because that's part of adulting, as they say. There's certainly things we have to kind of tough out, and some things are temporary that we know there's an end. The thing is really just to stay on top of evaluating, and instead of doing the usual typical to-do list, it means to also come up with a not-to-do list. Because when there's something, and I try to do this daily, if there's something that, and we're not talking about procrastinating either, we're talking about a healthy filtering of what is worthy, truly worthy of our life minutes and our life space. And if there's some little minuscule thing that can go, or something that we just don't want to be a part of anymore, but it's been just easy to keep on going with it, bugs are getting bad again, then that's when we need to sort of evaluate that as, is this, little itch in my nose, worth it? And so living deliberately means we want to be present in this moment, making active choices, active, conscious, deliberate decisions. And we save life minutes by doing so. So where we're going with this is mindfulness. And I think many people don't really understand, who don't practice it and think it's catching on huge. Lots of people are now practicing mindfulness. And I think some people don't because they're confused or misunderstand what mindfulness is really about. And you often hear mindfulness like mindfulness meditation, and in some ways it is, but it really isn't. It's not like any of the sort of traditional forms of meditation, just transcendental, and there's walking ones and sitting ones and laying down ones, which I wouldn't encourage you to fall asleep. And but they're all good. Those are all good. I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from, the more traditional ways to meditate. However, mindfulness really isn't about that. And it doesn't mean that you have to be kind of sit crisscross applesauce, as my kids would say. I still have allergies, that's why I'm breathing weird. You don't have to sit crisscross applesauce, in a cave like a Tibetan monk. And no offense, because monks are great. It's just that isn't necessary. And like John Kabat-Zinn, who's probably the main guru for mindfulness, at least as far as I'm concerned. If you Google him, it'll explode. And there are lots of other ones, like host Giovanni doing speed dogs, woo! And he is very present. Watch an animal. They know how to be very present. And also little kids. It's about being in the here and now with attention and intention. And though that sounds easy, maybe, it really isn't. And I would say, at least for the good old US of A, most of us are not present most of the day. And think about that. That's just got to be exhausting. So really it's about being in the moment, being present, whether you're running, walking, doing the dishes, taking a shower. John Kabat-Zinn actually says that on one of his videos that I show my students. He said, next time you're in the shower, be in the shower. And instead of a bunch of, people in there with you. And sometimes day one, or yeah, it's usually day one with my students, I'll say, so how many people are in the shower with you today? And they're like, isn't that a little personal? And I'm saying, no, think about it. You might have, your classmates, in there with you. You might have, people from work in there with you. People from 3 years ago who said something not nice about you are in there with you, still taking from you in 2021. And just, think about that. So to actually be in the shower, And then I'll say to them, it is college. If there's somebody in there who's, who's real, well, good for you. I mean, there's no judgment. As long as it's, of course, consensual, respectful, everybody loves each other, that sort of thing. But then good for you. And the thing is, though, if that is not the case, throw them out. Because I know most of us, that's, one of the, especially if they're young parents, you might get 10 minutes if you're lucky. Feel the hot water on you. Feel the steam. Enjoy the scent if you've got some nice high-end shampoo or not. Enjoy the scent of your lower-end shampoo, whatever. But be in there and be in your body. Then sometimes I'll say, eating, mindful eating. Actually taste what you're taking in. And then I also do an exercise with them in my Mindcraft class where I bring in chopsticks and all different, an assortment of different flavored popcorns and little popcorn bags, and it's so fun. And when they first walk in and sit down, they're like, what is she doing with this? Like, they can't figure it out. And then we go on and have our discussion after I show them, because usually there's a handful that don't quite know how to use chopsticks. So I give them a little quick chopstick tutorial. And then from there, we go on to picking up each piece of popcorn with the chopsticks. And chopsticks slow your life down, I have to tell you that. I'm a big fan. I use them a lot. We have them in the house, right in the silverware drawer. A lot of bugs, which is okay. I'm in the woods, and it's fabulous, and Giovanni's having a grand old time. So chopsticks slow your life down. I'm a big fan of chopsticks. So they will pick up each piece of popcorn with the chopsticks, and they realize the flavor, the texture, the squishy part, the kernel, the salt. If it's the caramel type, and I usually bring like 3, 4, 5 types in there. And it's such a fantastic mindfulness activity or exercise, and it really demonstrates not only a chopstick slow your life down, but how much we miss when we're eating. And it can be a regular burger. I'm a big fan of burgers too, or something super delicious seafood dish or whatever. It could be that toasted bagel, whatever. But to really each bite to actually taste it, because I think the majority of us, especially if we're eating in the car, which is not the best, not judging, because sometimes that's how our day plays out, we're just kind of like inhaling everything and not even savoring. I love the word savor. To really savor the burger or the shrimp scampi or the toasted bagel with butter or whatever. Actually really savor it and be present in that moment. So there's, in addition to that, mindful eating, in addition to the savoring piece, there's the added bonus that it gives our bodies a chance to catch up. So we know when we're full, and typically that works out well all the way around. Things taste better, and they also are, ghrelin and lectins, the hunger hormones, kind of know what to do more. They know when we're satiated, and the body pays attention when we eat slower. Well, it pays attention always, but when it pays attention, it kind of knows when it's satiated versus when we eat too fast. So there's mindful eating, mindful conversations. I mean, if only we were present more with the people we love when we're in conversations with them. And I think we all know what it's like when somebody actively listens to us, especially if we've got something wrong, all the way right up to heartbreak, heartache and heartbreak. We've got, and somebody safe, somebody who's, we consider emotionally safe, family member or friend or partner or whatever, and we're really heard. I mean, we're really heard. Like, it feels like they got into our rib cage safely, and they would not tell, or break the confidence of what we're saying to them, and that we've really been heard and validated. When we feel validated, we also feel less alone. I don't like the word crazy, but sometimes we feel that way. We feel less crazy, and we just, it's just, I don't know if there's a better feeling on this earth. It doesn't matter how much money you have, what kind of family you come from, where you come from, whatever like that. Human beings in general want to be seen and heard and validated. Can't put a price on that one either. So that's also mindfulness. That is being present in the moment with that person you care about, listening, truly listening, and not thinking about what you want to say next or your advice or whatever, and just actually listening to it, whereas you could, if you were asked to repeat it verbatim, you could almost do that. And this is mindfulness too. And I know John Kabat-Zinn says, he says, if you're thinking about mindfulness as something, oh no, another thing for me to do, I got to add it to my to-do list, and oh no, another thing, he said, just don't do it, because you're just not ready. You're just not ready. I mean, he said, basically, we are here for a short time, to kind of entertain ourselves until, boom, we check out and go to our great reward, as my grandmother would say. So, these minutes, our life minutes, really are the most valuable, precious things we've got. And so, to be in the moment listening in a conversation, to be in the moment eating, to be in the moment running, skiing in the woods with Giovanni right now, in the moment making a video and thinking about nothing else, is just so thoroughly enjoyable. I say to my students sometimes, or again, if you're having 5-star sex, good for you. Be in your body. Again, as long as it's consensual, respectful, people are loving each other, good. But it's really true though. If you're gonna be scrubbing the bathroom, scrub the bathroom. Just be in your body. Believe it or not, some of these more considered mundane tasks are meditative. For me, it's mowing the lawn. Actually, my husband does it with the tractor, the big part, but the little parts that are kind of tough to get there, I actually enjoy that with the push mower. It's very enjoyable, actually. Also a reason that if you skip off to like an ashram or like a meditation retreat, they're often have kind of labor jobs, laborious labor, whatever, jobs that are gardening or sweeping or whatever, because these can really bring inner peace. They're just inner peace, just being in the moment, doing whatever it is. So this is really what it's about. And then, so not only do you not have to be a Tibetan monk sitting in a cave, crisscross applesauce, you don't have to chant or do anything like that. It's just about being present. And this gets my allergies, so I'm breathing funny. This also can work like a charm for those who land on the attentionally different spectrum, because we relax differently and we tend to relax in motion. So I know for me, in addition to mindfulness, which just being in your life really is what that's about, Tai Chi's worked for me a lot too, because sometimes the judgers out there, and they don't all mean to be judgers, but judging's judging. And if you've ever had somebody, because I'm in motion most of the time, and they'll say, relax, calm down. And, I mean, does that make you feel relaxed? Does that make you feel calm? Does somebody command you to calm down? Probably not. And the thing is that the judgers who relax sitting on the couch, watching TV, reading a book. I like to read too, so that isn't maybe the best example, but I need to move around, and I relax the most when I'm running or skiing or walking in the woods making videos. And that's okay, because I'm wired differently. And so mindfulness really works for me, because you can sit still and just close your eyes and breathe deeply for a minute or 2 or 5 or longer if you're kind of advanced and good at it, and that's great. But I can be mindful, and I work hard at it every day, to just be in my life and be in the moment and enjoying who I am and whoever's in my company. I'm walking Giovanni, the golden retriever. I very much appreciate Giovanni, the golden retriever. So really, that's more what it's about, is being in the moment, doing whatever. And why it also can work. It worked for anybody. And those on the spectrum of attentional difference, it kind of makes it easier for us, because there's not that expectation of creating a void of thought. Because for somebody in the Fast Mind Club, which we've renamed ADHD, right? Honestly, trying to sit in a spot and create a thought vacuum, actually get rid of all your thoughts, that's the equivalent to me of opening every door and window in the house, every vent, maybe creating a new hole and a few new holes, and inviting the entire neighborhood and maybe state and the obstetrician who delivered me and all that, inviting everybody into the house, because honestly, somebody would have a better chance of seeing the good Lord himself than having me have a complete thought vacuum. And this brings me to another part of mindfulness that I love so much that's also different from meditations. There's no thought vacuum required, and there's also no judgment. I love that. With all the judgment the world brings, and I say this to my students, of all the things that they feel they can't do right, they feel not enough a lot, especially this generation, but even the midlifers and even more seasoned folks anywhere, people, right? There are so many ways that we can feel we can screw up or not feel enough. And you can't do mindfulness wrong, right? You just can't. And so it comes down to taking big, deep breaths. We're doing whatever you're doing. Skiing, running, conversation, whatever. Walking Giovanni in the woods. Big, deep breaths, because that's not just touchy-feely. When we take a breath, an intentional breath, not just for the obvious reason, there's an immediate neurological reset. There's an immediate neurological reset that brings the mind back in the body from next Tuesday or from 2019 or from wherever, and it's very, very immediate. And then if you're having a busy mind day, or we say a monkey mind day, you may need to do that a few more times over and over. Sometimes, like when I'm on the way into campus or wherever, if I'm having a busy head day, and it doesn't mean monkey mind day, it doesn't mean necessarily that it's negative. I might be really excited because I get excited very easily about all the things going on in campus and the students and projects we're working on. It might just be a busy head day, even a positive busy head day, and I'll pick a stop sign that's maybe 50 feet away and just say, okay, to that stop sign, I'm going to be mindful, and I'll just big deep breaths, and most often I was thinking of this winter. When I do that, all of a sudden I'm aware of the beautiful ice crystals clinging to the trees and these other things I wouldn't have even noticed before. And so if it's a busy head day or monkey mind day, then that means, and then when you get to that stop sign, do the next stop sign, or parked car, or whatever. It can be 20 feet away. And, each of those minutes, we're living deliberately. We're just saving our very valuable life minutes. And this brings me to one of the other things I love about mindfulness is the non-judgmental piece. Again, because we can't do it wrong. So here's the thing. Even if someone's really been practicing mindfulness for a while, and they're kind of good at it, but then they, like anybody else, has a busy head day, and then let's say a really anxious thought comes through. Then with mindfulness, it's not like, oh no, I was supposed to have a thought vacuum. I'm supposed to be free of thoughts. I can't even do this right, which is what a lot of students do till we work them through it. No, that's not it. Rather than dig our claws into all that, we just say, okay, I just had an anxious thought. Must be I'm anxious today. So what, and who cares? And welcome to the human race, and that's it. And it's just, and sort of ironically, the anxiety will dissipate much, much faster. It sounds counterintuitive because we want to dig in with our claws and that. And also, if somebody is dealing with anxiety or depression or whatever, they already feel badly enough. Those things are not fun thoughts to have, right? So then, now we're going to feel badly about feeling badly. We call those secondary emotions. So it's not necessary. And mindfulness, I won't say first came over, because obviously mindfulness has been around since people. And if you want to get really good at it, watch a couple of 4-year-olds in a sandbox. They don't need a lesson. Okay, but say as far as it being used for treatments and things, it's often now, thankfully, blended with cognitive behavioral therapy and other forms. So also, it often be called mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral therapy, because we change our thoughts, the ones that aren't working for us, and redirect our thoughts. Then we also redirect our feelings, because thoughts come first and feelings come second. So when we change our thoughts, we're going to change how we feel. And then last, our behaviors or actions. They can all be milliseconds away. But thoughts come first and feelings come second. So if we're walking around thinking anxious thoughts about what's coming up and what if and catastrophizing, you're thinking about 2 years ago about what we could have said and would have said if and all that. If we're walking around thinking angry thoughts, we're going to feel angry in this moment, even though whatever happened last week, last year, last decade, or whatever. We're going to bring those feelings back. And we walk around thinking anxious thoughts and allowing anxious thoughts, then we're going to feel anxious. So this comes down to the living deliberately part and practicing thought control. We've talked a lot about practicing thought control. It's the main theme of Mindcraft, which is learning how to become the boss of your brain. So practicing thought control, excuse me a minute, thought control and learning to become the boss of our brain has so much to do with mindfulness and being in this moment. And so any of you who want to sort of the party tricks for how to deal with anxiety, not meant to take the place of therapy for sure. I have a couple of videos out on that already. And if you practice that together with mindfulness, you are going to be off and running to a much more peaceful, happy existence. And your life satisfaction will soar. I am sure of it. So if you're liking this, please maybe do a little tap dance on the like button and then subscribe. And that's it. Have a mindful day. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from Northern Vermont.